He's going all the way. 20, 15, 10. Touchdown. Texas Tech takes home the victory.
Welcome into the Broadway Shuffle with Clayton, Conrad, and Zyler. I am Brennan. We are here for another great episode, a jam-packed episode. We are going to react to Texas Tech's 43-20 win in Manhattan, Kansas against Kansas State on Saturday. We also sit down with Texas Tech quarterback Behren Morton. Great conversation with Behren here coming up in a few minutes. And then we've got to talk about game day. Coming to Lubbock next week for BYU. Texas Tech meets the moment. This is going to be a crazy week in Lubbock. It's going to be one of the biggest weeks in college football. And gentlemen, we are going to be here for all of it. Some huge news coming out of the Broadway Shuffle. First, we will be doing a live show Friday afternoon from 2 to 4 o'clock on YouTube from Jones AT&T Stadium. So be on the lookout for that. We are going to have some great guests. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're excited to bring that to you. Another great thing that's happening this week for us is Texas Tech head basketball coach Grant McCasland sat down with us. That interview will be coming out on Tuesday morning. So for all of this that's happening, it is a crazy week for Texas Tech. Basketball gets underway Tuesday night, but man, football stole the show once again. And Zyler, Clayton, Conrad, what a week it is, and what a time it is to be a Red Raider.
Unbelievable intro. I don't even know what to say. Almost speechless.
Yeah.
That would have been my best one. 130 episodes. Maybe I'm warming up. And there's so much to get into, man. I mean, there's just so much to talk about. We also will have our normal preview episode out on Thursday. And Conrad, for all of this, you gotta subscribe to the channel so you are alerted when all of this will be happening this week. The biggest week ever for the Broadway Shuffle as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't want to subscribe to a phenomenal Texas Tech sports podcast, giving you extremely fair but also sometimes biased takes about Texas Tech sports. Look, we're four Texas Tech graduates. We love Texas Tech. We want nothing more than to see the Red Raiders succeed in basketball, football, everything. This is just such an exciting week for us. I mean, it's something that if you would have told us when we started the show a year ago that we would be in this position today, I would have told you there is absolutely no way. Zyler just wanted 100 subscribers by the end of football season, was it, Zyler? And you guys have blown us out of the water. And so subscribe to the channel, like this video, helps it out a lot. And maybe share it with a friend, share it with a Red Raider, and let us know what you think of the show in the comments below.
Yeah, man, comment, man. Close to 2K. Can we get to 2K by Friday? We'll see. That's up to you guys on YouTube. But Texas Tech, 43-20, Clay Dog. What a game it was in Manhattan. Behren Morton back from injury. We talked to Behren. We'll get to him in a little bit. Overall thoughts on the game for the Red Raiders, and how were they able to come away with such a dominating win?
Yeah, I felt like defense was dominating as usual. 5 takeaways. I don't even have words to describe this defense. Honestly, once they missed that 2-point conversion, in my head I was like, that's game. They're not going to score twice on this defense. I thought the offense played really well after, there was definitely a slow start first few drives, but I felt like a lot of that was kind of self-inflicted. A credit to them. They cleaned all that up. They had the fumble later on, but only 21 yards in penalties, which was pretty good considering I feel like 3 of those were on the first 2 or 3 drives. It was nice to see Behren back. The offense definitely looked more like how it looked, Kansas and before that. So that was all good to see. Got the run game going again too, which was huge. I think Dickey and Jacoby combined for over 200 yards. So I'll take that pretty much any Saturday. But yeah, Zyler, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always helpful to go back and rewatch and evaluate some of your assumptions. If you would have been in our group chat, you would have thought that we committed 18 penalties for 285 yards. That was not as big of a deal as I think I was making it out to be during the game. Was it frustrating? Yes. Do I think it killed probably 2 of your drives? Yes. I think the biggest takeaway, though, for me is just how much smoother the offense runs with Behren, and it's really the quick stuff. It's the stuff to Reggie and Caleb on the outside. Your screen game just works really well when Behrens in there, and that's nothing against Will. Will has a lot of stuff that he does well, but Behren is clearly the best quarterback for this offense, and big surprise, the coaches knew going into the season who the QB1 should be. It's amazing how good they are at predicting that stuff. But to me, it's really a program win, a culture win. It's a team that has just really been a thorn in your, and I don't want to say thorn in your side because they have been they have a Big 12 championship. We have not been able to beat this team in Manhattan since 2009. And that was a team coached by Ron Prince. Like, you hadn't beat them by when they had a competent coach since 2004. It'd been almost 20 years. It'd been 7 years since you'd beaten them in Lubbock. Just getting that win in the manner that you did, I thought, is going to mean more to Tech fans than it will to any other national pundit. They have no idea kind of the background between these two programs. You beat the preseason Big 12 favorite, even though they've obviously fallen off. But if you're an SEC fan, this was a preseason ranked team, and we'll add that to our resume. Yeah, just a very, very satisfying win is what I would say. Does it move the needle for your strength of record? No. Does it move the needle in a lot of other ways? No, but very, very compelling and very satisfying for me as a Tech fan.
And no one gives a crap about that. It moves the needle in the fact that you won a game and you're now 5-1 in the Big 12. Z, it should move the needle for you, man. You were pre-game on Twitter, 50,000 views, tons of bookmarks. You were taking it to the bank. You said Tech by 20 plus, and you were right. You deserve your flowers.
Yeah, I think that's why it didn't move the needle for me. I knew this was the outcome.
Yeah.
You know, like, is it going to move the needle for me when we beat Lindenwood tomorrow in basketball? Like, no. Yeah, it was one of those things. And I think I texted, me and Clayton were talking about it. It's like after the first quarter, even though we were down 7-0, it was very clear to me that you were the better team and that you were going to win this game if you just kept doing what you're doing and didn't make catastrophic mistakes. Now, you tried to do that. Behren tried to throw an interception. Coy Aiken tried to muff a punt. You tried to make some catastrophic mistakes. Unfortunately, you were able to not, suffer too much. Dickey had the fumble. You tried to lose this game in the manner that you've lost Kansas State games in the past. Stupid mistakes that had no business occurring in this game, and just weird stuff happens in Manhattan. But this defense, it's not fair to have this defensive line in the Big 12. It is an incredibly dominant unit. David Bailey, I think he could get a holding call every other play if it was officiated appropriately. It's ridiculous how quickly he gets off the line. Romello was unbelievable. Lee Hunter is a menace on the. It's unbelievable that we have that group of players in this conference. It's just a absolute force of nature. Completely changes offensive game plans. I mean, you could see Johnson, when I was watching it back today, he was exhausted in the fourth quarter. He's running so much on passing plays. He's running so much on running plays. It's a lot. It was wearing him out, and I think you really saw the benefits of that as the game progressed. His throws weren't nearly as crisp. You just really saw the benefits from that continued pressure and continuing to hit the quarterback, not in a dirty way, as the game kind of wore on.
Yeah, and credit to you and Clayton, too, because you mentioned our group message, and Conrad and I tend to be the more, I don't know how you would describe this, emotional of the bunch here on the Broadway Shuffle. And
I think that's fair.
And then Clayton and Zyler, it's just smooth and it's soothing. It's like, guys, we're dominating this team. We're going to be okay. And I won't reveal necessarily what Conrad and I are texting during this first 25 minutes of game time. But, and then to see Zyler and Clayton, just like you're literally crushing them in every area of this game. The score is not showing it yet, but it showed to be true that Texas Tech did dominate this game. This offensive line, you mentioned it. Defensive line. I'm just thoroughly impressed with David Bailey and Romello Heights' consistent ability to get into the backfield and how fast they do it. And I remember a conversation we had with Brendan Jordan before the season, and I was like, what's practice been like? And he's like, dude, I barely have to do anything because I turn around after 3 seconds, and these guys are in the backfield sacking the quarterback. And that has turned out to be true for most of this year. Conrad, it makes it feel so much easier as a fan watching. The offense can stall at times, sure. This isn't 2012. This isn't 2008 offense. But the confidence you have in knowing not only can you get stops, you can get takeaways. And this defense has just shown a consistent ability to do that now 9 games in. And they're arguably the top defense in the country at producing those turnovers.
Yeah, when you have a guy like Jacob Rodriguez, who, by the way, Jacob Rodriguez for Heisman, that's the official position of the Broadway Shuffle. I did not ask them, but I'm sure we would all hold that position. Jacob, he's been amazing for you playing behind this defensive front, obviously with Ben. And, it's a crazy group of guys that they play so hard. You can see Coach Wood's fingerprints all over it. I mean, the way they hustle the ball, the way they seem to play so quickly. I mean, there's not a lot of thinking out there. There's a lot of plan, and you don't want defensive players thinking a lot. You want them reacting to what's in front of them, reading their keys correctly, and these guys do that incredibly well. But when you have two guys like Mello and David on the outside, I mean, it is a thing of beauty to watch, and it would terrify me if I was an opposing fan base. But I will say it's something that Texas Tech fans, I mean, I think we're not used to this. I think that's completely fair to say based on our history. But at the same time, obviously 2025 being, 100 years of Texas Tech football, a special year for the team so far. This unit truly is, I think it's, top. I mean, it's got to be top 5 in the country. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. Obviously, we're a little bit biased here on a Texas Tech sports podcast, but this unit truly has carried you. And the offense, like Brennan said, you're not going to see, and I think this is one thing we were texting about. And if you do want to make a sizable donation, we may let you in that group text for the games and games alone.
That's not worth going to jail for, man. No one wants to be in there.
$100,000, you can be a part of the Broadway Shuffle group text. Easy. I'll say this though, I've had to recalibrate my brain a little bit because we were all students when Patrick Mahomes was the quarterback, and we know what those offenses looked like. The offenses really, truly in the country don't look like that anymore. You don't see the same things happening that you saw back in those years from the old Big 12 offense. And so for me, I've kind of had to recalibrate how I think about offense in general, not only in college football, but also in the Big 12. You have a very good offense. You should be very happy with your offense. Obviously, it's not perfect. Your defense is your better unit. But at the same time, this offense still does do really good things. And I think they're a big part of the reason you won on Saturday in Manhattan as well.
Yeah, Clayton, one thing I was thinking about too is more of the anxiety around the game. And we had talked about this a lot through the course of the season and preseason, that if you went 2-1 against Kansas State, Utah, and Arizona State, you'd be in a position to win the conference. But it brings the nerves up so much more as a fan when you do lose to Arizona State and you needed this win. You had to have this win. And there's been so many times, and we talk about it a ton, that Texas Tech just has not been able to meet the moment. And this was a moment they had to meet, and they finally did. And you've got another one this week coming up against BYU, obviously in Lubbock. But for a road win against a team like K-State, and I said they've been your daddy. K-State has just dominated you through the course of the last 15 years. What do you think it means as a Texas Tech fan, as a team, and as just a community to see this win, for it to be against K-State? I feel like it just means a little bit more.
Hey, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the Broadway Shuffle. We're talking Texas Tech sports, bringing you game previews and reactions, conversations with players and coaches, as well as our honest opinions. Hit subscribe, jump in the comments, and be a part of the conversation. Now back to the show.
For sure. Yeah, I think being able to go on the road and beat a team that has perennially been at the top of the Big 12, even if they, dropped this year a bit, it's definitely hard for me to wrap my head around, this is what, teams of this caliber should do. And it's something that's so foreign. And we can talk about, I heard so much, Manhattan is cursed and stuff, but it's like, in most years we're just walking in there with a considerably worse football team. And some funky stuff happened to us, and there's games that we should have won that we lost. But the majority of those 17 years or however long it had been, they just had the better football team. And this year, I thought you were clearly the better team. And yeah, like Zyler said, I never really thought that we were going to lose that game just because of how it looked. The only offense they had was explosive plays, which is basically exactly what we predicted. But on their 3 touchdown drives, I think they had a play of over 38 yards on either of those. So when that wasn't happening, this team is just too good for someone to drive the field. So yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I think this is just another stamp on where this program is right now. And quietly, the road woes that we talked about early in Joey's tenure, he's turned that into I feel like we are an extremely good road team now. I think he's won 5 out of the last 6 on the road, which includes Ames, Salt Lake City, Manhattan. So definitely put all those question marks to bed.
Clayton, what you said about explosive plays, I was looking at the game on paper. Kansas State's EPA, so expected points that they added throughout the course of the game without explosive plays. Does anybody want to take a guess at what it was? And it was a negative number.
It was bad, whatever it was.
It was negative 50.60. It was negative 50. If they did not have those explosive plays, which they did, and I think that brings up another point if we want to nitpick, they had a 11% explosive play rate, which was an 80th percentile outcome, which is really good. That's something that you're going to have to clean up on some stuff. But if it weren't for those things, man, from a down-to-down basis, just not a successful day for them on the offensive side of the ball. And I think, and I want to get back to what Brennan said, but just another point, I wanted to shout out a few guys. Cole Wisniewski, man, we talked about him in the Oklahoma State game. he is playing some really, really good football right now. He is just very helpful in the run stopping game, and he's been a really effective pass protector. And I guess not pass protector, but pass defender. He hits hard. He's made a ton of really good plays, and I feel like you don't notice him unless he's making great plays, and that's a great thing to hear about your safety. So I wanted to shout him out. And then J-Rod, we've obviously talked. The forced turnovers are generally fluky when you look at teams forcing turnovers. It's like, yeah, interceptions are kind of fluky. The J-Rod forced fumbles are not fluky. They are the farthest things from flukes. That is a consistent and a sustainable thing that your defense has shown that you can do consistently with him in the backfield. And just really, really impressed by that unit. You dominated Kansas State on the defensive side of the ball outside of those explosive plays. The Avery Johnson is just going to rush for 2 touchdowns against us every time we play him. I guess that's just going to be the standard from here on out. But could not be more impressed. Brennan, I did want to bring up a question for you guys. A more satisfying win, and satisfying, not important. The Kansas State win yesterday or the Utah win to start Big 12 play? Which one was more satisfying for you as a fan?
Today's episode is sponsored by Lubbock Abstract and Title Co. And Z, who was Lubbock Abstract and Title Co.'s defensive coverage player and play of the game?
Yeah, plenty of options to choose from. Bryce Pollock in his pick of Avery Johnson, Ben Roberts with his pick of Avery Johnson. But truly the most impactful play, I think, from a win probability percentage was the 4th down breakup from John Curry, the Lubbock local. He ends up with the, I guess you could say, game-sealing breakup on 4th down. Didn't give up on the play, got Garrett Oakley, got the ball on the ground, pretty much locked up the game. Shout out to John Curry, Coronado legend. That is the coverage play of the game for me. We really appreciate Lubbock Abstract and Title for being a sponsor of this episode.
Yeah, and Lubbock Abstract and Title. We play defense for your biggest investment. The team blocks title issues, intercepts hidden liens, and protects your property from every blindside hit. Lubbock Abstract and Title, the strongest defense in real estate.
Kansas State.
For me, I was going to say Utah for me.
I was going to say Utah.
So the reason I say Kansas State is you lost that game against Arizona State, which we're not necessarily that mad at. I don't think you would have lost it if Behren would have played. That's my looking at things in hindsight take. The reason yesterday was bigger for me is you had to win that game to keep everything alive. You had not won there since 2008. It was cold. You didn't know what was Behren going to look like coming off the rust. He looked really good. Because of all those things, all those factors playing into that, that's why yesterday was more exciting for me and more meaningful for me.
I think Utah,
satisfying though, not meaningful.
I think not winning somewhere since 2008 and then winning there, I think that is the definition of satisfying for me.
Because I agree with you, Conrad. I think the Kansas State win was more satisfying for me. It's just
I think it can be both.
You had a history with that team that I just think you don't have with Utah. Go ahead, Brennan.
And I get all that as well, too. And I completely agree. It's not a wrong answer. I just think that coming into the season, the Utah game was such a measuring stick game for me. And their fan base is so obnoxious, too. And I just think that with it being big noon on a national stage and an early kick, and for you to go in and do what you did, for me, it felt like that's a more satisfying win to prove that you belong. And I felt like this team needed that moment for this season early on in the year to really put the rest of the country in the Big 12 on notice and to put a belief in what they were able to do for us as a fan base and believe in this team. And so for me, that was the Utah win. And it gave you more confidence that you were going to win in Kansas State. So I would say Utah, but I don't disagree with your points.
Brennan,
I totally
I just
agree.
think it had more to do with, your love for Utah. And I also need to say this. I'm more of a college game day guy myself. Big Noon's kind of, they're good, but they're not the OG, if that makes sense.
Well, that's fair. But Clayton, why do you say Utah? Negate Conrad. Just ignore.
Thanks for
completely.
ignoring everything.
Yeah, Clayton, you go ahead.
I completely agree with you. I feel like if you had lost that Utah game, number one, there would have been a lot of people that were like, oh, look at all that money spent for nothing. And I feel like you would have been fighting an uphill battle in national perception from there on out. And so seeing you basically, stamp yourselves in the first conference game like that of this actually is a national contender. I do get the history side of it though, but I feel like just going into the Kansas State game and they're 4-4. I don't know. I think the win in Salt Lake City to me was more satisfying for those reasons.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, at
guys,
least we don't have to pick between the two. We got both of them. So
we got both of them, and that's what matters. And we've got so much to get into, but there's a certain quarterback for the Texas Tech Red Raiders that is ready to sit down and have a conversation with us. So we should probably let Behren Morton join the Broadway Shuffle. Now joining the Broadway Shuffle, Texas Tech starting quarterback Behren Morton is here with us. Behren, welcome to the Broadway Shuffle. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. Awesome. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Of course, man. Well, man, it was so great to see you back on the field this past Saturday in Manhattan. A 43-20 win, a huge moment for Texas Tech and for yourself. Just having to miss, we know, is probably so frustrating. Can you talk us through a little bit of what your mindset was going into the game, having to miss the last couple of weeks, and then how you're feeling as well after the game?
Yeah, man, I'm really proud of this team. It's been a really, really fun year. Being here for 5 years now, I've seen a lot of football. Been a part of a lot of teams at Texas Tech, and I can 100% say this is the closest team that I've been a part of here at Tech. Really proud of the guys and the way that we knew we had to go get this one for sure. And that was a really, really good K-State team we played. They've lost 5 or 6 games this year from one score or less. So really talented team. But we knew we had to go get this one. Going into the week, I kind of knew this is, kind of the make or break for our season. Bouncing back off of Arizona State, we had a great win against Oklahoma State. But going back on the road, it's tough every week. Every Big 12 opponent, just like y'all know, can beat anybody else. So, really proud of the team. We a little bit rusty start for sure. But we found our groove in the second half, and really proud of the guys, the way we responded.
Behren, I've got for you. Everybody talks about the closeness of the team. What do you kind of attribute that to?
Yeah, I think it goes back all the way to, what Coach McGuire preaches every single day. The brand, the toughest, hardest working, most competitive team in the country. And I remember, day one of Coach McGuire getting hired here. He pulled me in his office and he said, "Hey, Behren, just trust me. Just all I want you to do is just trust me." And I said, "Yes, sir. Like, I'm going to do that." And, to look back from 4 years ago to where we are now, I'm glad I stuck with the process of, staying at Tech. I love this university. I love everything it stands for. So it's really cool to be in this position that we're in right now. But going back to, the transfers that we brought in this offseason, just figuring out, people's why. We recruited, highly recruited guys, but, these guys came to Texas Tech to be a part of something. And, I can firmly can say, Lee, Mello, David, they're all going to be Red Raiders for the rest of their lives. TC loves Texas Tech. Reggie loves Texas Tech. So, really proud of, the way that we have, bonded over these last 8 months. It's been really special for sure.
And then, Behren, this is maybe a less serious question, but you've had great coordinators. You've had Kitley, you've had, Leftwich. And I've just got to ask a little bit of the QB process. Do you ever get a play call in and think, I'm 100% checking out of this play call? I know what I want to run here. Is that something that ever crosses your mind? Not to diss any of your coordinators. I love both of those guys. But
No, yeah, for sure. If I get out there and we got a heavy box and, I see one-on-one with CD outside, I'm going to go ahead and max pro that for sure and take a shot. But no, yeah, I have for sure.
That's hilarious, man. I appreciate it.
Sir.
Tech hadn't won in Manhattan since 2008 prior to Saturday. I'm wondering, is that something that you guys talk about or are aware of, or is it y'all's view is just kind of like this is the next team on our schedule? Like, how do you, I guess, mentally view that?
Yeah, I know I can say for me being a Tech fan my whole entire life, I wanted that one bad. I wanted it really bad because I knew how much it meant to, this university. And, you don't get to play, the same teams every single year. So, this is kind of my exit out of, Texas Tech, and I get one more shot to go play them in Manhattan. I knew that, I wanted this for, selfishly myself, but, at the end of the day, really proud of the guys and the way that we handled, a business road trip, I think that gives us the momentum, leading on to this week. I think this week's is, a big week, but at the end of the day, it's just going to be the same old football. Put the ball down, let's go play. So, I think that's a good stepping stone for, what we're doing, moving on to the end of the season.
Behren, obviously your story being a Texas Tech fan growing up, seeing Harrell and Crabtree and all that comes along with that is well documented. Talk with us a little bit about what that has meant for you this year. Obviously playing for your hometown team, your favorite university. I can only imagine growing up as a Texas Tech fan, what this year being the quarterback of this team has been like for you. How does it compare with, we know what the expectations were, what the potential was, but how has the dream of the offseason compared with the reality of what Texas Tech has done so far in 2025?
Yeah, it's been everything. From being in a new facility last year to, a whole new coaching staff. I've kind of been here since the start, and, it's kind of been it's been a crazy journey for sure. But I'm glad I stuck it out. I'm glad I've stayed here. And going into this season, I try to do my best this offseason, get to know guys, because, however tight we are as a team, I'm going to know I'm going to have that much more respect from that guy on Saturday. And, it's been awesome, getting to learn different kind of backgrounds from everyone. From David, graduating from Stanford, and, Lee growing up in Mobile, Alabama, and, just guys like that, just connecting with them, taking the O-lineman out to my ranch for the weekend and just hanging out with those guys and getting to know them. It's something I never thought I'd really be able to do. And you look up now and it's, we're 8-1, we got everything in front of us. And so now it's just time to, finish what we started. And, we're a prepared team, and, we gotta showcase what we're capable of every Saturday.
Behren, you mentioned taking guys out to your ranch, and it makes me think just what you've been through in this program in 5.5 years, different coaches, injuries, starting, backup role, and just the leader that you've become for this team that this team needs. You, Jacob Rodriguez, you talk about the transfers, but you guys being the nucleus of this core is essential to this success so far. Is there a guy throughout this whole journey that you were able to kind of feel like, I need to emulate this guy, or this is how I'm going to lead when I get to that position? Do you have anyone of a role model figure that has helped you be where you're at here for this Texas Tech team?
Yeah, I don't think there's really one guy in general. I think I've picked up a lot of different pieces from a lot of different guys, from all the way back to Coach Yost and, Coach Wells and that staff, learning that offense, and then going into Coach Cumbie's offense. And then from that, this is, my fourth offensive coordinator, and learning from Tyler Shuck, learning from guys that have played a lot of ball. And, now that I've played a lot of ball, I can kind of, put bits and pieces of what I've learned throughout, my college career of what makes teams successful. And, I've been a part of teams that won 4 games, and now I've been a part of teams that won a lot of games. And so, I just, every single week, you're just trying to get, that much little piece of getting better. And, I think that I've really learned a lot throughout the process of, becoming more of a leader, and, not necessarily on the field, but, off the field. What kind of respect do you have in the locker room from, the guys that play with you on Saturday to, the fan base outside of it, all of the above. I just don't ever think you stop learning from people. And, I think I'm very blessed and fortunate to be in the position that I am now. This is all just seems like a dream to me. And, at the end of the day, I want to be looking up in Arlington, holding that trophy that, belongs in Lubbock.
I love that, man. The NFL comes calling after this season. They walk into the room and they say, Behren, show me the best throw you've made in your Texas Tech career. Which highlight are you putting up first? Which throw are you most proud of since your time here at Texas Tech?
Wow, that's a good question. Geez, put me on the spot here. I've had a few. Going back to that very first start against Oklahoma State, that first drive, man, it was really just it felt like a dream, waking up and, throwing that ball to Deron Bradley, kind of blacking out. You're like, whoa, this is for real. But, after that, throwing 30 more touchdown passes in the career, it's just a really cool feeling. There's been a lot of highs and lows, but, I think at the end of the day, every touchdown pass that's completed. I think that's a pretty cool stat.
Good answer.
Good answer.
Heck yeah. Thinking back to last season, I feel like in big spots like third downs in the red zone, the ball was going to Josh Kelly more often than not. And this year, I feel like any skill position player can step up at any time. Do you feel that same way? And do you think, or how do you think that changes the way defenses can guard y'all?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. We have one of the best defenses in the nation. We do have the best defense in the nation. So this summer, this fall camp, really showcase, like, you can't isolate CD outside because, we have Terrence Carter that can come, out of the backfield running the option route. And then you look over and you have Coy in the slot now, which Coy belongs in the slot, and then you have Reggie Virgil that no one can keep up with his speed. So, the talent that we have around us, I mean, that's what's going to take us, far in the playoffs. I firmly believe that. So, each week just scheming up, certain plays that we can get our playmakers space. I mean, y'all saw Terrence Carter in the way that he can move in the open field. I mean, my job is pretty easy. I just got to get them the ball as soon as I can and let them do the work because they're very, very talented.
Behren, I think it was quite a while ago that you committed to Texas Tech, and these 5 years have kind of flown by. I'm sure for you, but also for Red Raider Nation. How do you want to be remembered? With this season come to a close and your career at Texas Tech come to a close. How do you want to be remembered by Texas Tech alumni and Texas Tech fans?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very long-ended question for me, for sure. This university means everything to me. I mean, from being a kid that was in diapers, putting up the guns up. I mean, I love this university, and to be in this position that I am now, I never really thought I would be in this position, but I'm very thankful for the adversity that I've spent through college. I had many opportunities to leave, try to go play somewhere else, but I mean, this place means way too much for me to just close the door behind this place and walk away. So very, very glad I've stayed, but the job's not finished. And, I want to be remembered as that quarterback that brought championships back to Lubbock, where they belong, because the way this program is moving and this culture, it's about to take off and it's about to go. Coach McGuire finally has his place, where it needs to be. And, he's going to keep moving this forward. And I just want to be a guy that makes this place, on the right path.
Well, Behren, you definitely are that guy, man, and it's been such a joy talking with you. I want to get you out of here with this. You mentioned being a Red Raider since you were born. Game day 17 years ago was the last time College game day, and the only time College game day was in Lubbock. You get that opportunity here, the biggest game of the week in Lubbock, Texas. You're human, man. We know you're a player and you're a judge on how you play, but how excited are you? Just as a fan and as a kid and as a guy to be a part of this, how amped are you for this week?
Man, I'm just pumped for, this university and the people of West Texas. Like, everyone in West Texas deserves this. This is what, West Texas football is about. And, to be the quarterback for the team, I mean, that's a dream come true. And, it's crazy. I was just walking out of here earlier to go to dinner, and there's already people camping outside the Jones. And this is football. And, this is something that's going to be really cool this week. But yeah, very blessed to be in this position, ready to get after Saturday.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you so much for being here on the Broadway Shuffle. We're going to be there watching you on Saturday. We can't wait. We're so proud of you, dude. Seriously, you've been such a great testament to what it means to be a Red Raider, and we appreciate you taking the time today and go get them on Saturday against BYU, all right?
Yes, sir. No doubt. I appreciate y'all having me. This is awesome.
All right, Behren. Thanks, man. Man, Behren Morton. Finally got him on the Broadway Shuffle. For those of longtime shufflers know the history behind me trying to get Behren Morton on the show and the lengths that I've had to go. So that was a rewarding moment. But what a guy. Seriously, I walked away more impressed, I got to be honest. I was very impressed with Behren and what the love he has for Tech. That was one of the best interviews I think we've done.
Yeah. I mean, there's no other guy that you want to be the quarterback at Texas Tech in this moment than Behren Morton. I mean, how cool is it to have a hometown kid, grew up rooting for the Red Raiders. Now he's the quarterback of his favorite team 17 years later, College game day coming to Lubbock. I mean, that's got to be so special for him. And we're obviously all rooting for him to get the win on Saturday.
Yeah, it's weird, Zyler and Clayton, because if you would have had me interview like Graham Harrell I don't know, like 17 years ago, I'd be like, man, we're talking to the star quarterback of the college football. It just feels weird, like having a communication with a guy that's like 8 years younger than you, but it's like still a really, unique interview. It's just kind of funny how time changes the perception. But man, great for Behren, and going to be a crazy week. But I wanted to get to our overreaction or realities, and we haven't touched on the refs yet. But it's my first question for overreaction or reality, and I can't wait to hear this answer, and we'll get into it. But this was the worst Big 12 ref game you have seen, maybe in your lifetime. Overreaction or reality?
Can I caveat?
You can caveat.
The review booth was worse than the officials on the field.
Okay, so the way the reviews, is that
That's
a
very
reality
fair.
that is some of the dumbest reviews you've ever seen?
I think every single thing that they reviewed, they got wrong.
Yeah,
Dude, the Caleb Douglas non-touchdown, I mean, that's one of the most baffling calls I've ever seen. And the announcers kept saying, oh, maybe it's because they don't have a shot down the line. When the ball comes down a yard into the end zone, maybe just use your brain and realize that it's over the line. I genuinely cannot believe. If that's not going to be reversed, then just get rid of replay.
This is the same crew that did the Colorado game last year, just as a reference.
which was rough.
Yeah.
Conrad, thoughts?
Brennan, it's so hard for me because I don't know if this is. I feel like the Big 12 refs not being good has been a thing for years. Like this is not a new story, but yet it continues to aggravate fan bases every single time it happens. I don't know if any other fan bases feels the same way. If you're watching this and you're a Colorado fan, let's say, and you've seen a poorly officiated game, not counting Lubbock last year in the Big 12, let us know in the comments, because we're watching some Big 12 games, but I feel like this is kind of an epidemic across Big 12 football. I will say, for Texas Tech's perspective, I can remember so many games that have had poor officiating, but obviously this one's the freshest in our memory. So I would say probably this one. I'd probably say it's reality, but it just doesn't make sense to me. And I don't know how we can see these things, to Clayton's point, on the reviews, and people that get paid to do it can't. I mean, it's just, I don't understand. I mean, if they do need a biased reffing crew, we would be happy to help.
Yeah, there's 4 of us here.
The thing that I don't understand, and some of the calls would have gone against you, I thought the Jace Brown second fumble, I thought that was very clearly incomplete. All of you agree with that?
The first one was clearly complete.
Yeah.
Complete. I just have no idea how.
And Mike Pereira was sitting there like, what am I supposed to say? Like, can I bash these guys? Because he was like, the first one was clearly a fumble. This one is not a fumble. And then the catch on the sideline that they reviewed for targeting, that clearly wasn't targeting, and the ball falls out of his arms as he's going to the ground. I don't know. Is this Des Bryant 2014 against the Packers? Like, or have we redetermined what a catch is or not? It just, the officials going to review and then getting it wrong with how much college goes to review, it's absurd. Like, it is ridiculous. And I don't know if it's a Big 12 issue, if it's an NCAA issue. I know the ACC started letting you in. Yeah, is it Big 12?
No. I mean, SEC maybe has worse officials. They've had multiple games that the officials have swayed the outcome.
And I get it's hard. Like, I don't want to bash the official. The problem is you're gonna miss calls. Like, they could have called holding on whoever was trying to block David Bailey every single time he lined up on Saturday. And I get that. And I understand that's hard to do consistently. And you've got to call the game you see in front of you. But when you're going to review and us as the fans are seeing it and it's clear as day, and even the announcers or the commentators are saying, oh, that's not this or that's not that, and you go back and just blatantly get it wrong. Clayton, you were like, how is this not rigged? Like, what who's trying to screw us here? It just felt like that after you continually kept messing these things up.
Yeah, it's because I have a lot of sympathy for in the game when an official watching a bang play, he has one angle. We don't get to see what that angle is on TV. Missed calls happen there. That is what it is. And it's going to go both ways.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to review and the calls are just not, and the Caleb Douglas touchdown, I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I don't know how
standing right
they're
there
standing there. The
Yeah.
dude clearly has a hand. Is a hand now part of the ground? Like, what are we changing the rules mid-review? It just made no sense.
I don't get it. The other
There
one
was
that
a
really
couple
made me mad,
missed PIs too.
I thought, and I thought one of them was okay. Like, as long as you don't call that on us, I'm fine with that. The one where they got there early, I thought should have been called, but I get it. Those don't bother me so much. The reviews really did bother me, though. It's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just
Conrad.
it's unfortunate, and I have a spur of the moment overreaction to reality. This is not planned at all, so we'll see how this goes. But overreaction to reality. Robert Griffin III loves Avery Johnson's 2023 game against Texas Tech more than any other player's game against anybody else ever. Overreaction to reality.
Reality. That's a reality.
He had to mention that.
They were also
in
pretty
the
annoying.
first.
I like to shout out. There's a lot of really good play-by-play and color commentary stuff out there, and I think Baylor's produced some really good ones. King McClure, when he's on for basketball, he does a really good job. When RG3 said that Avery Johnson can't take a negative play on 4th and 10 with it being a 2-score game with like 2 minutes left, like he's got to throw the ball. Like if it's an interception, it's an interception. How? Like what else did you want him to do there? I mean, I guess throw a completion, but like. You can't get mad at him for throwing an interception and say you got to take that. I don't know. I was just like, what is this commentary?
That was also what made it funny was that he and was it Benedetti or whatever his name is, they would be saying like, oh, it's this on the field. Like, and then they were also getting it kind of wrong. And I was just like, what are we doing? And then they'd go to Pereira and Pereira would be like, guys, I don't know what you're seeing here. It was just it was so funny. And like those guys, you just think they'd be in the ear like, hey, we're going to do this. Or like, let's make sure you don't act like a buffoon here or say something stupid. But I don't know, man. They are on live TV. It's a hard job, but I think it's funny. All right, next
officiating in the commentators.
Yeah, next question. Oh, before we get to the next one, we did go 4-0 this week, by the way, for Texas Tech. And we all were relatively close in our score predictions too. So great job, guys. You guys killed it. We'll get to our overall records on Thursday's preview episode when we do our pick'ems, but I was very impressed with how close we aligned. I was 31-20. I think Conrad, you were 34-10. Z, what were you? 43? Were you 41-20?
You were 48-24.
48-24.
No. You were 30.
That was his dream.
That was my vision.
Oh, that was the vision. Yeah, we got to get into the Z's visions later. And then Clayton, you were 27-17. Yeah. But hey, next question I've got for you guys, part of our overreaction or reality. The Big 12 will get more than one team in the playoff. Overreaction or reality?
I'm really starting to come around on this. I think the ACC is really cannibalizing themselves right now. And I think the door is open for either BYU or Utah to potentially get in with the champion, assuming that's Texas Tech.
I don't know that Utah can get in unless they win the conference. I think it would have to be you as the 2-loss champion, you or BYU. I think you and BYU are the only teams that have a chance at an at-large.
So the scenario, Conrad, where you go, Texas Tech wins against BYU on Saturday, and then BYU wins out, beats Cincy, and you guys meet again. Do they punish the loser of that game and kick them out? I would assume both would be a lock in the field if they both make the playoff, or excuse me, the Big 12 championship at 11-1.
If you punish, I'm not even going to entertain the situation that we don't win the Big 12 championship at this point in the season. So let's just assume we play BYU again and we beat them again. I don't know how you could punish BYU for losing to Texas Tech in Lubbock and then losing to Texas Tech also in the state of Texas in the Big 12 championship game. I would think that they should be in, but then again, I'm not on the college football playoff committee
Yet.
One day.
One day. Well, we'll see, man. That's going to be interesting. And to get to the state of the Big 12 as well, Utah, they did destroy Cincinnati at home, so that was an impressive win for Utah. They're playing great football right now. ASU beats Iowa State. Man, what happened to the Cyclones this year? Wild. But without Sam Levitt, they go into Jeff Sims and beat them on the road in Ames. And then Houston, man, the Cinderella run has come to an end with a devastating loss against West Virginia for their first Big 12 win in Houston. So the Big 12 now, guys, it really does look like it's becoming a 3-team race. Obviously, the result of BYU Texas Tech on Saturday will play a huge role in what that does the last 2 weeks of the season. But Cincy, BYU, Tech right now, you guys feel pretty confident the champion. I mean, obviously, I know you're going to say yes to this question, but the champion's coming out of the 3, or the people meeting are coming out of those 3, yes or no?
I think Utah has a shot because if there's a 3-way tie with BYU, Cincy, Utah, I think they have the strongest conference strength of schedule, so they would get in. So if I don't know, I guess that would take BYU losing both Tech and Cincinnati, and then Cincy losing another game. But I think it's going to be those 4 teams.
Yeah. Conrad?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I obviously think it's going to be Texas Tech, but not to disrespect any of those programs. I mean, they do have a shot in the way the schedule lines up. So I would say that's right. I do think, I think Utah is definitely improved from when we played them. I will say I'm very thankful we played them early on in the season versus now, because I think they have figured some more stuff out. But I will say I do think that Texas Tech is still going to be the favorite, at least in my mind. I don't know what the odds are, but I would think Texas Tech would still be the favorite to be the Big 12 champion.
Zyler, you were frozen there for a second, looking very handsome, by the way. You froze on just like a very intense, nice look, just staring into the camera. It was nice.
I was frozen by the quality of the question. It pinned me to my chair. I don't know what Conrad said, but yeah, you are the odds-on favorite. You're minus 170 at most of or somewhere like minus 160, in between minus 180, to be the Big 12 champion. That doesn't mean anything. You drop that BYU game and you don't control your destiny. One of BYU, Texas Tech, and Cincy will be in that Big 12 championship game. I feel pretty confident in that. Mm-hmm. There's a plethora of teams, though, in that 2-loss category that do still have a chance. I think most notably Utah, but I think TCU will have a chance. Oddly enough, they're kind of hanging around. Only 2 losses in the conference. They can still get there on a bye this week. So there's still some teams out there, but I'll be shocked if the winner is not one of you, BYU or Utah. Those would be the teams that I would bet on right now.
And I think TCU gets Cincinnati as well, too, so they could kind of jump up on a tiebreaker level. But but Arizona State beat them, though, and they have 2 losses, too. So there's a lot of weird tiebreakers that get down into that 4 through 7, 8 range.
And the head-to-head is important if it's just you and that team at that tier level. But if it's several teams, like if it's 3 teams and you haven't all played each other, it comes down to like your strength of like what is the winning percentage of your conference opponents. It gets really gnarly. So you really want to avoid being in that 2-loss category, because you could be there with Arizona State and Utah, and if there's a 4th team there, it may not matter that you beat 2 of those teams. Like, it's helpful, but avoid that at all costs.
Question for the show and I guess the listeners, but I'll have this answer before then. Where does TCU play Cincinnati? Y'all know that?
Actually, I don't know.
Is that in Fort Worth, I believe? I think it is.
Okay. Advantage Cincinnati.
I knew that's where you were going with that question.
It's been a couple weeks. I needed to bring it back.
You had to get it out of your system.
Yeah. It's been boiling up.
That is so funny, man.
Hey,
well, it's going to be interesting. Or go ahead. Continue on the rant, Conrad.
No, I don't. There's no rant. It's just a question. Is Dave Aranda still the head football coach of Baylor University?
Dude, there's no better coach in the country than Dave Aranda if his job is on the line. It's like undefeated.
Yeah, he finds a way. He finds a way, man. Well, it's going to be a crazy week in Lubbock. Before we get to our Tommies, I did want to get to game day briefly. The announcement was made. It was pretty much we knew going in if Texas Tech wins, game day would be there. But we will all 4 be in attendance at BYU. We're going to soak in the festivities. Let us know if you're going to be there as well. We've got our preview show still for Thursday. So we will, I don't know why Clayton's laughing, but we will stay. We will stay in. We'll talk more about game day on the Thursday episode as well. And we have our live pregame show Friday from the Jones from 2 to 4 again on YouTube if you missed the intro. But man, it's going to be an epic week in Lubbock. I cannot wait. I want to get out there tomorrow. I wish I was already there.
You want to camp out?
I want to camp out, man.
It's going to be Behren. Yeah, saying that Raiderville's already started back up. Welcome back.
Yeah. Gosh, dude. And one of my favorite memories was 2008, 12-year-old Brennan walking through Raiderville and seeing the population sign for Texas Tech. The new weekend for Texas Tech football. We can replace 2008 in terms of hype. Finally, it's here.
Brennan, I was about to say, to quote one of our friends at Texas Tech, I'm tired of talking about 2008. I want to talk about, 2025 and forward. It does kind of look a little, for the Texas Tech fan base. I've gotten some flack over the years. All you guys talk about is 2008. It's like, Okay, yeah, you're kind of right. I mean, 2008 and Patrick Mahomes is pretty much all we've had to hang our hat on until this year. But thankfully, things are looking up for the Red Raiders, and excited to see what 2025, 2026, 2027, and on goes. Because you are adding some good pieces on the recruiting trail too. So recruiting is good in Lubbock, Texas, as well.
Yeah, that is very true. So let us know in the comments if you're going to be at the game, going around, doing things. It's going to be a ton of fun. So, all right, best segment on the show. It's what we're known for, man. It's time for Tommy's. Let's close out Monday's edition of the Broadway Shuffle with our Tommy Tubervilles of the week. And guys, I'm going to start. And this is actually crazy that I get to continue. Again, it is a simple equation. If a coach gets fired, you are Brennan's Tommy Tuberville of the week. And for the 4th straight week, a Power 4 coach has the honor of getting fired and then being my Tommy Tuberville of the week. And guess what? It's a guy that where Tommy used to coach at, and that is Hugh Freeze at the University of Auburn has been let go. Again, it's pretty easy. You get fired, you're a Tommy. There you go, guys. Easy for me. 4 straight weeks, I get to announce the Tommy of a head coach being let go.
What was his buyout?
I don't know his buyout. Not nearly as high as 50.
Either.
But what was the shout out,
Auburn
Clay?
has paid over the last 7 years, I think 3 different coaches over $50 million to not coach at their university.
That's
Unbelievable.
tough.
Well, who are you going to shout out, Clay?
I was going to give a shout out to the guy on Twitter who leaked the Hugh Freeze firing by checking local tee times at Auburn Country Club. That's electric. That's what college sports is about.
Wait, explain. I'm not aware of what happened.
He posted on Twitter that there was that Hugh Freeze basically canceled his tee time and said a change is coming, and then a couple hours
He
after
was
that
right.
was announced.
Wow.
Wow.
That is crazy.
That's crazy. He was going to play golf the morning after. I feel like
After scoring 3 points, I got to clear my head.
I feel like during season you don't do anything as a head football coach in college football except for coach and sleep and coach and like I feel like golf should just not be a part of the equation.
As a coach, I think there would come a time if the season starts going badly and I had a really nice buyout. I don't think I would ever do this, but the thought would cross my mind like, you know what? F it. Like, I'm just not going to do a good job. Fire me, pay me so I never have to work again. Like,
Yeah, man, go lower that handicap.
like you're exactly right, Conrad. You just lost a game. You're winless in SEC play, right? They don't have a win, right?
Mm-mm.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think
You
so.
scored
You're gonna
3
play golf?
points.
Against Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And even
ridiculous.
Arch Manning can score against Kentucky.
Anyway, I did want to shout out the Shufflers Tommy of the Week. There were several notable suggestions, but one really stood out above the rest. And this is going to set the standard for what a Shuffler Tommy Tuberville is going to be. If you haven't seen the thread from Landry Womack on our tweet talking about the officiating crew, it's actually unbelievable. Really good documentation, went through the rule book about how the officials got all the calls wrong. Incredibly impressive work. And that's going to be the Shufflers Tommy Tuberville of the week is the Big 12 review crew. So shout out Landry Womack for being our Shuffler, I guess, or nominating our Tommy Tuberville for this week. Did an excellent job. And then my Tommy Tuberville is going to be the Nebraska Athletic Department. Extending a coach and making him a top 10 paid coach in the sport while having a 2-24 record against top 25 opponents in your entire career is lunacy. I don't care if he was negotiating the Penn State job. Like, let him leave. Like, you can do fine. You're Nebraska. You've got great resources. You've got great passion. You've got a great fan base. You'll have a great coach. I don't know how you make that sort of deal. I don't know why that athletic department did that. Good for Matt Rule. But man, that is not going to age well. That deal is not going to age well for the Nebraska athletic department. So that is my Tommy Tuberville as the Nebraska AD.
And I would just like to say that Landry, maybe you should put that into a binder and send that to the Big 12 office. I think they may like to see that. I think that may be some good documentation for them to have in the record books when thinking about officiating.
Well, Landry's not here to. Landry's not here to.
He's
respond.
watching. He's watching. He's watching. I'm talking to our shufflers, man, real
I
time.
got you.
Like they got.
All right. Well, who's
they gotta-
your Tommy of the week?
Well, it is. I will say I love college football. I love everything about college football. The pageantry. I love Texas Tech. I love seeing different conferences, what different teams do. The state of the college football coaching search is my Tommy Tuberville of the week. I don't understand. I mean, we've never seen anything like this in terms of coach firings. I mean, it's unprecedented. And what's crazy about this whole thing is that I don't know who these schools are going to hire. I mean, there's 3 candidates that you're like, yeah, you should probably hire that guy. Other than that, I mean, it's like, are you going to hire some group of 5 coach, some defensive coordinator? Like, who are you even like trying to get ahead to hire? Because if everybody's trying to hire Lane Kiffin, he's probably staying at Ole Miss, in my opinion. He's going to be in the playoff. There's no way it's just even going to be possible for him to leave. I just don't understand this. So the state of the college football coaching search, you are my Tommy Tuberville of the week.
That's a good one. Clay, close us out, man.
Yeah, mine is the Big 12 and Bob Bowlesby for letting Houston into the conference, and also UCF for different reasons. But I don't know if y'all saw the attendance at the Houston game this Saturday, but they're ranked. They're 7-1, and they maybe had a third of that stadium filled. I've heard that they charge $60 for parking anywhere near the stadium, which is absurd considering the state of their fan base. They should probably be paying people $60 to park near the stadium. I firmly believe that the Big 12 should have added SMU instead of that commuter school. So yeah, Bob Bowlesby from his grave gets a Tommy of the week.
Bob Bowlesby's not dead. That's what everybody knows. He's just dead as a Big 12 commissioner.
Yeah, he's not actually dead. But, dude, man, Clayton with the hammer, dropping a hammer to end the show. That's awesome. Man, well, guys, that was a ton of fun. It's always great reacting to a win, and we've been doing that a lot this year. It's been a ton of fun. We have got a huge week ahead. It's going to be a lot of fun as well, just seeing you guys. First ever live show, the 4 of us in front of one camera, doing a show at the Jones Friday afternoon. No promises on how that goes, but please make sure to tune in and clear your schedule. We know no one's doing anything on a Friday afternoon before Texas Tech takes on BYU. So we'll be there as well. For all the links to our social medias in the description, it's in the YouTube description below. We've also got our merchandise links below. Conrad, the t-shirts look good, man. It's nice having a t-shirt with your face on it. I love being able to look at you.
Yeah, that's never anything I ever thought would happen. I don't think any of us ever thought our faces would be on a t-shirt, but if you do want to wear our faces around and remember or remind everybody who the best Texas Tech podcast is on the market, go buy a shirt, wear it, and send us a picture of you wearing it. Put it in the YouTube comments or on Twitter.
Yeah, man. We appreciate everyone's support. Grant McCaslin interview launched on Tuesday. Basketball Tuesday night, 7 o'clock as well. So for everyone listening or watching, whether on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or Texas Tech Plus, we so much appreciate your support and join the community of a growing Shuffler Nation every single week here on the Broadway Shuffle. For Clayton, Conrad, and Zyler, I am Brennan, and we will see you guys next time. Wreck 'em.
He makes the catch. He's got